All right, everybody, good afternoon and welcome in to Stick and Hack Reacts, a special edition, a Tuesday edition of Stick and Hack Reacts. Why? We had to wait full 24 hours to react to this thing. Keith Stewart. I'm Adam Grubb with Stick and Hack. That's Keith Stewart, ESPN Radio. Our weekly look into the PGA and the LPGA starts now. And this weekend is still going on, Keith. In one of the longest tournaments, you think 4 days is a long time. You think trying to fit in 18 holes a day for 4 straight days. Try a week and a half. The TPC at Sawgrass was just this past weekend. I believe it finished just mere minutes ago. Keith Stewart, your reaction to Cam Smith winning, your reaction to the biggest purse in golf history, your reaction to meltdowns galore, weird ball placement. React to it all. First, though, let's start with Cam Smith, your reaction to the Mullet Man.
Well, I tell you, I was there last week for most of the week, and at one point I just took my toys and went home because there was no golf being played.
Right.
But so I can tell you from experience in the media center that it was brutal. It was unbelievable what we had to go through on Thursday and Friday into Saturday, and then Saturday's theater was amazing. Cam Smith, big thumbs up for him. Second win of the year. I think it's his 6th win. You know, he's now number 6 in the official world golf rankings. You know, I'm not sure the last time an Australian's been that high. Maybe Adam Scott, you know, before him, Greg Norman, if we're allowed to say Greg Norman's name on Players Championship week. But it was a really entertaining week. I mean, there's so many things to unpack that I just don't even really know where to start.
All right, we'll get to them because I've got a list of things I want you to react to, and we might even
I have a list of things.
But let's start with Cam Smith and his play. The last couple holes, first of all, he had 101 one putts or something, some ridiculous stat. He hit everything that was in sight of him. He birdied 30 of the first 33 holes of yesterday. I mean, there was none of those are accurate, by the way, but they're close enough.
Obviously,
he was a putting machine, and that is really what propelled him. But Cam Smith might become the Stick and Hack mascot because he is everything that Stick and Hack embodies. His look, his swagger, his play, the way that he, even his putting style is unique in and of itself. His ability to get up and down is where he and I differ. However, Cam Smith had it going on, and there was a lot of competition. There were some really weird things happening. I had to leave. I watched my customary 4 holes yesterday afternoon, and I had to leave to go pick up the Texas Roadhouse, Keith. When I left, he had just hit it into the water on 18 through on his punch shot. And at that point, I thought, oh, my God, because I thought it was over. I thought it was over at the birdie on 17. Yeah. It all of a sudden wasn't over. Your reaction?
Well, you know, Cam Smith, he was last in the field in driving accuracy, right, off the tee of everyone that made the cut. So he was like 71st of 71 guys. Yet around the green and putting, like, you know, you so succinctly put, he did have 101 putts for the week. He had 24 putts in the final round. I mean, the guy was a stud. But here's the funny thing. He only had 1 par. I mean, this is like one of your rounds. He only had 1 par in the first 13 holes yesterday in the final round. The guy had 10 birdies. You know, he had super stones when it counted on 17. He hits it right of the flag. I just, you know,
Careful on that one. Because the buzz is happening. It is starting to squeak out that wasn't exactly his plan to stick it to 4 feet on that tight right side pin on 17. He was trying to hit middle of the green and he pushed it. It didn't come off the wind and it worked out for him. He did say that this morning, that it was not exactly his plan. However, in the moment, you thought, my God, this guy doesn't care even a little bit about this thing. It was fun to watch.
Hey, you could look at it one of 2 ways. You could look at it as like, you know, scared money don't make money, my friend, right? So he was willing to throw it out toward the right.
Right.
Or you can go the way that Paul Casey has for the last 44 years, which is that thing when he hit his, it was going nowhere near the right. And you knew that. I mean, I would have bet my mortgage and like all 3 of my kids, and I only have 2, on the fact that Paul Casey would have never hit that ball within 50 feet of that flag when the tournament was on the line.
No chance.
And, I mean, he's got one of the great stories of the whole tournament with what happened to him and his luck on the 16th hole in the fairway. That was an unbelievable story. I mean, there's so many things to unpack. I mean,
All right,
DJ
so
shoots DJ shoots the course record after finishing his third round. He shoots 41 for his final 9 holes. Everybody's like, DJ's done with this. He's on his way to Valspar. And then he goes and shoots the course record by holing out for eagle on the last hole. I mean, there were so many funny things. I mean, like just crazy golf stories that took place over the course of 5 long days.
All right, so we've got a thumbs up, I assume, for Cam Smith.
Yeah,
obviously.
2 thumbs up.
Now let's move to the overall storylines and the number one storyline, which was weather. There's no doubt about it. The weather forecast did not call specifically, and in Florida, it's hard to imagine that they've got much going on there when they could look at the rain and the potential for rain. It was very minimal at the beginning of the week, and then that started to creep up. All of a sudden, you had major rain every day. You had, even yesterday when there wasn't supposed to be rain, there was a 40-minute shower. You had winds. You had different courses, different tournament, different things happening earlier in the week than later in the week. Your reaction to weather playing a major role in this year's Players' Championship.
Oh, I mean, the weather was the whole story, Adam. I mean, being there and watching what the different waves went through. I mean, imagine that you finished your round, those AM guys on Thursday, they finished their round. Some of them didn't tee up again until Sunday in the second round, like a Keith Mitchell or an Alex Noren. I mean, think about that. I think there was two full days in between. And then on Saturday, they had that windstorm, where Dorothy was running around with lions and tigers. And I mean, it was crazy, man. There's so many things that made this tournament memorable. And of course, if you were in that PM AM wave, with Morikawa and Scheffler and Brooks and all those guys, I mean, those guys really got the shaft. Thumbs down for their experience. I mean, less than 40% of those guys made the cut. So the cut was top 65 in ties. I think 71 players made the cut. Of that, like 2/3 of them came out of the AM PM wave. And, you could tell why, because not only did they play in the pouring rain all day Friday, I walked with Rory and JT and Morikawa. I watched what those guys played in, but then when they showed up on Saturday morning, they had like 40-mile-an-hour winds, and they're starting on the 17th hole.
Yeah.
I mean, as a golfer, you always say like, well, especially like for me as a PGA professional, I've never thought that like golf was ever life or death. But watching those first 4 guys play the 17th hole, I mean, Scheffler had never played the TPC Sawgrass before, the stadium course, right? It was his first time in the Players. He steps up in his first round on Saturday morning, it's blowing 40, and he's got to play the 17th hole. First time ever in a tournament, right? And he hits it, long water, right? So then Xander gets up, and he's kind of like a Paul Casey. He's like, well, all right, what's the most conservative thing I could do here, right? Okay, short in the water. Then Brooks, water. That group's done. All 3, you're talking about 3 guys in the top 20 in the world, right? Scheffler just won 2 of his last 3 tournaments. I mean, come on. You kidding me? Right? Then who comes up next? Morikawa, water. I'm like, this is unbelievable, right? And then the argument starts, is this even playable or what's the story? I mean, it was just tremendous theater, I mean, I think even Goldman hit it in the water.
The next storyline is really the last 3 or 4 holes. There's not a better stretch of finishing holes in golf, and it's a Pete Dye masterpiece when you think of the, not just the routing, but really what those last 4 holes do to you and your psyche. And he's known for kind of testing those golfers at the end. Is it a better stretch than Amen Corner? Is it a better stretch than that's really my only reference. I was gonna try to pull one out, but I couldn't get there. So forgive me, Keith. Okay, but I'm playing the part here. Help me understand if this is the best stretch of holes in all of professional golf.
Geez, I mean, the only one that's comparable is Amen Corner.
Right. So I got that right. So I was, at least my reference made sense.
Yeah. But like this week coming in the Valspar, they're going to talk about the Snake Pit, which is 16, 17, and 18. You got the Bear Trap at the Honda. I mean, all of those things are made up because of what Pete Dye has created and the scoring potential or what Alistair McKenzie has created down there at Augusta National in the scoring potential on those 3 holes. You have a very difficult par 4, you have a crazy par 3, and then you have a scoreable par 5. And when you clump those together and then you make them 16, 17, and 18, I mean, that might be the only edge that it has over Augusta, is that it's the last 3 holes, and it seems to determine so much of what goes on. I mean, the 16th hole played a major role in the tournament when you start to talk about Paul Casey. And, Cam Smith, of course, drives it in the trees, and then he hits the green from 240 and 3 and 2 putts makes par. I mean, there's just so many storylines that took place in those last 3 holes. Look at Keegan Bradley. I mean, Keegan Bradley, you want 2 thumbs down on something today? Buddy, you blew $880,000 in 2 holes. He finished bogey, double bogey, almost 900 grand, Adam. $880,000. See ya.
It makes your little $5 Nassau look relatively cheap when it comes to the pressure.
I wouldn't want to interview that guy afterwards. He was hot.
Well, and he typically runs hot as it is.
Yes.
That's Keegan. Let's talk Paul Casey. We've said his name several times, and that's not a name that is typically in that top 5 or 6, vying for a top spot, especially in a tournament like this with the lineup that was there. Paul Casey is one of those all-time players. He just is so solid. He's so right down the middle in all ways, right? Personality and on the course. Very vanilla, but when he gets there, you're like, oh, Paul Casey, he's a nice guy. I'd like to see him win. I wanted to see Paul Casey do something. However, he hit 2 very bad golf breaks. And in your weekender with your buddies, these aren't things that you're dealing with. You're moving the ball. He didn't hit into a divot. He hit into some sort of weird, like alien formed hole that you would never normally see. And he hit into this thing and thus couldn't make contact. And this was on 16, I believe. Couldn't make contact. Ended up having to just punch it down the fairway, which everyone was surprised by. You would think he would at least taken a whack at it and rock and rolled. But back to Paul Casey being Paul Casey, he's like, I'll just bunt this down with a little 5 iron, no worries, Your reaction to Paul Casey and then he had a drainage issue, which sounds weird out of context. He had later on in that hole to chip over. He thought he was close enough to this drainage where he'd get free relief. He didn't. He had to chip over it instead of putt. All bad things, and it cost him potentially a playoff and or a chance at the title. Agreed?
I mean, when it comes down to it, it was a week of breaks. If you caught the wrong weather, if you caught 17 and 18 at the wrong time, if you rolled into a pitch mark, I mean, that's the whole point of this thing, was that it's essentially a form of a divot, right? A drive had come in, it had hit the ground and probably bounced back out of it, and it created this like meteor crater. Of all things to roll into that was ball size, I mean, it's just really, really bad luck at the end of the day. And, I don't know that I ever feel bad for somebody that just made like I think $1.3 million in order to come in 3rd place at the event. But Paul Casey, if there was ever a time that things were lined up, that vanilla was the number 1 flavor, it might have been this week, and it still ended up being, it just didn't work out for him. I think at the end of the day, this particular event will be remembered for good and bad breaks.
Yeah.
And that's no slight to Cam Smith, because he played great when it mattered. He had 10 birdies in the final round, good for him. But there are a lot of guys that were completely removed from the competition based upon weather and the other, different elements that played a factor. It was just one of the most crazy golf events, I mean, there were so many funny stories that took place. Like Harold Varner III played great, and he was out there. He had no winter gear, so he had to go to the fan shop, and he's wearing a Players logo pullover, right? Hovland makes an ace on Monday, and he's picking up Kevin Streelman, and he's like jumping up and down. Lowry can't high-five Ian Poulter. He makes ace on Sunday, which was the 3rd round of all things. I mean, just where the rounds were, nobody knew what the time was and when the cut was and all these different things. I mean, what a crazy, crazy golf tournament. And at the end of the day, I think just once again, golf is in a really good place, Adam. It's pretty amazing.
And just a little fact. You typically give the stats and the facts here on Stick and Hack Reacts. However, I'm going to give you one. Shane Lowry's second in tournament play, hole in one. The first coming, Augusta.
16, yeah, at Augusta.
Oh, you already knew that. Cool. Good for you. All right, let's move on. The LPGA, we move on to reaction number 3. And the LPGA was this weekend as well. And Nanna Koerstz-Madsen, your winner of the LPGA this weekend. Give us the lowdown, Keith, and your reaction to my girl, Nanna.
Her first tour win, right? First Dane to win on the LPGA Tour. Very cool. Yeah. And I think there's a theme that's developing this year, Adam, which is kind of cool. Last year the theme kind of seemed to be redemption. Tony Finau wins after a long time. Jordan Spieth kind of came back and won and became more relevant. Well, this year that's the second woman for a first-time win on the LPGA Tour, Leona Maguire being the other one. But we've already had 7 on the PGA Tour. So we're getting a lot of first-time winners this year, which I think is pretty cool. She won in a playoff, right, over Zhu Lin. I was touting her. I thought that she would do very well. She ended up in a playoff and 2 playoff holes. They do the 18th hole there. Your woman, Nanna, she came through with an eagle on the second playoff hole for her first win. Congratulations to her. Congratulations for the LPGA for them pulling off their first, Southeast Asia swing, those 2 weeks. In the last 2 years, and now they come back, they take a week off, and then they're heading to California, and they're prepping for their first major of the year. So LPGA is hot right now. Things are going good, and nobody's hotter than Nanna Koerstz-Madsen, if that's okay to say. I don't know.
We're going to end it at that anyway, Keith. I don't know if it's okay to say or not, but it's already out there in the world. Keith Stewart from ESPN Radio and host of the Pro Show as well as Read the Line. And I'm Adam Grubb with Stick and Hack. It is great to see you. I'm glad that you're dry. I'm glad you're back, Keith. And this is a Tuesday edition of Stick and Hack Reacts. Let's not make this a habit, okay? Because I got crap to do on Tuesday. Monday, I block out for you. But Tuesday lunch is already packed enough. So let's be back next Monday with Stick and Hack Reacts. Yes, you have more.
I need one bonus react.
All right, go ahead.
What did you think?
I was winding up to a big finish, but go ahead.
All right, well, you'll get to your crescendo in a second. What did you think of Goldman?
In what way? Your funny, clever line about Goldman? Are we looking for a compliment or Goldman in general?
Goldman in general. I mean, hitting shots like Tiger's putt.
Who doesn't love that? Why isn't that a thumbs up across the world? What are we talking about?
All right, I needed to know. I needed a hack's perspective on that.
I think it's pretty clear. I think it's pretty damn clear. He's Keith Stewart. I'm Adam Grubb. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Tuesday here. This is Stick and Hack Reacts. We'll see you next Monday, everybody. Bye-bye. Best of luck to you.